My name is Honorable Arafat Kisokan. I'm the Member of Parliament for Munepoland North, and I also happen to be the chairperson on the Committee on Statutory Bodies and State Enterprises. I'm now going to give my colleagues in the committee to introduce themselves and the staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name's Tlhabologo Furniture. I'm a member of this committee and a member of Parliament for a constituency called Tati East. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Umpemetsi Kwapa. I'm a member of Parliament for Joanne Mabutsane, and I also happen to be the member of this committee. Thank you.
Honorable Chair. My name is Jeremiah Jerry Franzo, Member of Parliament for Shasha West. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, Kibidwa Phil Aaron, Member of Parliament for Ngami and a member of this committee.
Good afternoon. My name is Gabriel Malebang. I'm the Clerk of the National Assembly and the first secretary for this committee. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kebafense Helen Ketsajwang. I'm the Deputy Clerk of the National Assembly and the Secretary to this committee. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Janet Akana. I'm the Deputy Auditor General. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kweketsu Simanyani. I'm the Assistant Accountant General, standing in for the Accountant General. I'm with my colleague, Katata Molef. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Tapapiwa Mutsumi from the Office of the Attorney General.
Good afternoon. Kibidwa Khamangolibele. I'm the Technical Advisor to the committee.
Dumela, Kibidwa Patsimomibe from the Office of the Parliamentary Council.
Right. I'm now going to invite Bomra to introduce himself.
Good afternoon, Chairman. Good afternoon to the committee members. Good afternoon to all of you. My name is Sima Dijeng. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of BOMRA. I'll allow my team to introduce themselves as well.
Morning, members. My name is Kitswa Liburu, the Director of Finance and Administration for BOMRA.
Good afternoon, Chair and your committee. My name is Batuso Khosizile. I'm Director, Product Evaluation and Registration at BOMRA.
Good afternoon to the committee. My name is Nono Ford Tipe. I'm the Legal and Corporate Secretary at BOMRA. Thank you.
Yes.
Good afternoon. I'm Ipimeleng Lijimu, PRO at BOMRA.
Thank you. Let me remind witnesses that the proceedings are held under oath. You have been summoned to give evidence before this Parliamentary Committee on Statutory Bodies and State Enterprises. The evidence you will give before this committee will be on oath or affirmation. You have the option to swear to the oath or on the Holy Bible or the Holy Quran by putting your left hand on the Bible or Holy Quran with your right hand raised, or you may opt to make an affirmation if you object to the first oath. Kindly indicate the option you are electing.
I'll go with option 1, Chair.
Okay, you may rise up. I, full names,
Sima Dijeng,
do hereby swear that
the
evidence I shall give before this committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing else but the truth. So help me God. Thank you. I
I, Kitsoli Buru,
do hereby swear that
do hereby swear that
the evidence I shall give before this committee
the evidence I shall give before this committee
shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing else but the truth.
and nothing else but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. I
Batiso Kositsile,
do hereby swear that
do hereby swear that
the evidence I shall give before this committee
the evidence I shall give before this committee
shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing else but the truth.
and nothing else but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. I
Nolofotipe,
do hereby swear that
do hereby swear that
the evidence I shall give before this committee
the evidence I shall give before this committee
shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing else but the truth.
and nothing else but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. On behalf of the Statutory Bodies Committee, I welcome you to this committee. Your attendance is highly appreciated. Please note that this examination is part of our Parliament's oversight responsibility. As a result, we welcome your cooperation and thoughtful responses to the members of the committee. I'm now going to invite the accounting officer to present his executive summary. Please limit your presentation to key issues and highlights on the mandate, financial performance, governance, auditor's report, BAWA, PPRA, and any other regulators' reports. Gora gore ka go le diala 15 minutes go dira presentation ya lona e be boela ka kwane gore le botswe be la araba. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Let me appreciate, on behalf of BOMRA, the opportunity to present to the committee. I think starting with the mandate, BOMRA, as members would note, is a statutory body established under the Medicines and Related Substances Act of 2013, an act that we later reviewed in December of 2025. The mandate being to regulate medical products, both human and vet, as well as cosmetics, for safety, quality, and efficacy. So BOMRA essentially became operational in December of 2018. So we are about 7 years old as an agency. The mandate that we are tasked with is delivered through a number of complementary functions as recognized and guided by the WHO and other related international institutions. I think it's important to underline the word complementary processes that are defined, established through international guidance. The first key process is called the product evaluation and registration, which is a process that ensures that every product, every medical product that is put on the Botswana market is subjected to scientific assessment and therefore then registered beyond that. We have another process called the licensing process or function, which is essentially tasked with the licensing of all entities within the value chain, the supply chain of medicines. We've got facility inspections. Again, it's a key function of the authority to ensure that every entity that deals in regulated products is subjected to regular inspections. Key process, pharmacovigilance. Pharmacovigilance is a process where we carry out active surveillance on medicines that are in distribution to ensure that adverse drug reactions are reported back to BOMRA, and BOMRA is therefore able to, beyond that, report the same to international organization, in particular the World Health Organization. We also have a laboratory testing function. Again, it supports what we call post-market surveillance. So when there are samples collected in the value chain, they have to be submitted to testing to verify that these products are the same products that BOMRA has registered. Control of clinical trials, another important function, where we carry out oversight of all clinical trials conducted in the country to ensure that they are done ethically and in accordance with approved scientific protocols. Import and export control, another important function. Once we have registered all these products for distribution in the Botswana market, we must proceed to ensure that anything that comes in is approved as per the list or register of medicines that appear on our list. Of course, that also applies to the medicines that are exported out of the country. In terms of strategic alignment, national strategic alignment, BOMRA, as a corporate entity, is aligned in terms of our corporate strategy to the national priorities as defined under Vision 2036, NDP 12, and the Botswana Economic Transformation Program, with the ultimate goal, I think, of delivering under two main outcomes or two main areas. One is the enablement of an export-driven manufacturing sector in Botswana for all our regulated products, medicines, medical devices, as well as cosmetics. Second outcome, of course, is much closer to home because it relates to our population, our people, is to ensure that every medicine that is in circulation is quality assured and will not have adverse reactions or adverse effects, rather, on those who consume the products. Organizational performance, BOMRA is an organization that implements a corporate governance framework that aligns with the King 4 code. We are transitioning now to King 5. Members may note that King 5 has recently been, Code 5 has recently been passed, and we are moving to aligning with King 5, King Code 5. BOMRA has enjoyed, in terms of corporate governance, the support of a fully engaged and well complemented board from inception. However, the first board that we had as an entity elapsed, the term of the board elapsed in the year 2022. So a new board was appointed thereafter. So we are on our second board as an organization. Board evaluations that have been conducted since BOMRA's inception are 2 in number, and the latest evaluation score evaluating the performance of our board has recorded an 81.5%. In terms of our alignment to the King Code, the compliance to corporate governance, our last score indicated that we sit at about 86% compliance, meaning that BOMRA is, a very well controlled and directed organization in terms of corporate governance. In terms of our strategy, our journey, as indicated, started in 2018. So our first strategic plan ended in the year 2024, 2025. In fact, 2023, 2024. Now, the last year of the reporting period is the first year of the second strategic plan. So BOMRA's founding strategy sought to establish a fully functional an integrated regulatory system. The score at the end of the 5-year period of that strategic plan against the defined KPIs set at 94%. Again, I think it was a relatively good performance of the organization. Financial performance, BOMRA has maintained prudent financial management throughout the reporting period.
with an unbroken record of unqualified audit opinions, and no material adverse findings have been recorded. Total revenue for the organization grew by 31% during the reporting period, up to 115 million by the end of 2024-2025. We also recorded on the same year, which is a year ago, a surplus of 1.3 million, greatly attributed to the aggressive cost containment measures that the authority implemented upon learning of the challenges that the country is facing with funding. I think it's important for members to note, Mr. Chair, that BOMRA is an organization that is heavily reliant on government funding. However, we have two main sources of revenue as an organization. The first, of course, being the government grants, and the other being regulatory fees. The ratio that we are currently sitting on is 80% government funding to about 20% regulatory fees. We've seen growth in regulatory fees of about 122% over the reporting period from the financial year 2021 to 2025, growing it from 9.6 million to about 21.2 million. Regulatory compliance issues, I think as an entity, BOMRA has not had any major compliance issues with other regulators. And we continue to deal with whatever gaps and findings that come from audits. And we track them and address them as per our quality management system, ISO 9001 of 2015, which BOMRA is accredited to. In terms of our operations, BOMRA is, well, during this reporting period, BOMRA was able to operationalize all of the systems that are required, establish the structures and processes, and get them certified to ISO 9001. And we've also attained certification to ISO 17025 for our laboratory services, which means that our lab services for testing of medicines is deemed to be a competent lab. So that is, I think, some achievements that we are quite proud of. We've been able to successfully review, I think as indicated earlier, our founding legislation, the Act, to align with international standards and ensure that BOMRA and Botswana is well positioned to support manufacturing industry. Human capital, we have a headcount as an organization of about 114 at the moment. We grew from 78 in 2021 to the 114 that I just indicated. We have experienced less than 5% attrition, so we are not losing a lot of staff. I think over the reporting period, we see that our attrition rate has been less than 5%. I must caution, though, that even though I indicate this as what may seem not to be a big number, it's still, I think, for a highly technical organization where we invest a lot of resources in training of our staff, any loss is regrettable because it then means that we have to ensure that we upskill to the same level, and it often takes a bit of time. It may also be important for the committee to note that BOMRA is, I think, obviously a very relatively young organization, both in terms of the organization, which is 7 years old, and the workforce. We have an average age of about 38 years old, which means that we have a workforce that is quite a flight risk, and therefore our retention strategies need to be robust to ensure that the organization continues to perform at the level the nation expects and is an effective organization. BOMRA's new strategy requires that we review our organizational structure. However, due to constraints in funding, we've had to put that off for some time. I would like to just, I think, remind that, as indicated, we are on a second strategy which just commenced in the last financial year. Community and stakeholder engagement, we are a highly engaged organization in terms of stakeholders. We have, over the reporting period, transitioned from being an awareness creation entity to more of a data-driven or adopting a data-driven and targeted approach to our stakeholder engagement, focusing on building stakeholder trust and confidence through closure of gaps that we get as part of the ongoing stakeholder feedback. We've got three broad groupings under BOMRA's stakeholder universe. We've got healthcare professionals, we've got industry, and we've got patients. We see healthcare professionals as a key segment, as they are important partners in monitoring and driving medicine safety surveillance and reporting of adverse drug reactions as medicines are used. So generally, our public awareness levels have grown during the reporting period. We have an awareness rate sitting at about 44% now from 29% 3-4 years ago. But we have not quite attained our target of 70% because we believe an informed nation, people who are informed about issues relating to medicine regulation are better at taking care of themselves and making the right choices as regards the medicines and products that they consume. In terms of regulatory performance, I think it's important to share some of the numbers that come out of the work that we do. We have built what we call a register from the process that I spoke to of registration. We have built a register of more than 3,500 products in a list which a procuring entity can tap into to be able to ensure that the medicines that come into the country are of good quality and are quality assured, in fact, by BOMRA. Under veterinary products, we have registered or listed just over 900 products. We've listed more than 154,000 medical devices. We have more than 630 complementary medicines. We've licensed about 425 facilities in country, both human and veterinary facilities. We have, I think, in terms of the enforcement work, market control, we've been able to, in the reporting period, confiscate and destroy more than 65,000 substandard products from the market in partnership with other law enforcement agencies. We have on record about 100 quality defects on medicines that we had registered that have been in the supply chain. Again, these 100 quality defects led to recalls of those products or regulatory action of varying scale. Our achievement, I think I've talked about the fact that we have fully functionalized the entity. I think one of the important highlights, apart from what I've already spoken to, is that during the same reporting period, BOMRA was able to facilitate, during the COVID, the registration or approval of vaccines that were used to manage COVID. As a new entity, I think we were able to move very quickly to be able to support the national emergency or the epidemic that was going on at the time. Our challenges relate to the fact that we are located in Gaborone, so we are centrally located, which means that we do not quite have a national footprint in terms of our ability to deliver our work, particularly to rural communities. We are constrained in terms of workforce capacity, both in terms of the number of people we have, as well as the skills that we have to be able to deal with the ever-evolving landscape or pharmaceutical products or broadly unregulated products. One of the important challenges that I think is important to share with the committee, of course, is that we as a country have had a challenge with our supply chain of medicines broadly. And of course, BOMRA being the regulator has been instrumental to facilitation of the procurement of medicines. This shortage, I think, was first experienced in a big way post-COVID. But we've not quite recovered as a country from the challenges to the supply chain. And I think this has been exacerbated and made worse by the fact that we are currently challenged in terms of resources as a country. But BOMRA stands ready to implement adapted processes to ensure that the public still has access to quality assured medicines. So in terms of the strategic outlook, and this is my last slide, we are looking forward as an entity to ensure that indeed we do get accreditation to WHO, build a robust regulatory system, as indicated earlier, that can support international export of manufactured products. We are also working on implementing track and trace, which will further enhance the safety of the medicines that are in the Botswana supply chain. We want to be able to trace medicines from the bedside in hospitals right back to the manufacturing facility where they came from. So that is one of the, I think, key deliverables within our new corporate strategy. We want to fully operationalize our laboratory service. We've been fortunate to benefit from the World Bank support loan to be able to construct. We are working with the Ministry of Health on the construction of a full scope laboratory for BOMRA. Financial sustainability remains a major challenge for us as well. I've indicated before that the major funding of the organization is from government subvention. But we also are fully aware that as a regulating entity, we cannot have absolute independence in terms of funding. So we cannot generate revenue from our own sources, because otherwise it calls to question whether we truly are an independent agency, because we draw our fees from those that we regulate. We would like to see an expansion as well in terms of regulatory scope to cover fully the cosmetics as well as the recently emerging the cannabis cultivation. So cannabis is also known to produce medicines, so we are also gearing ourselves up to be able to support the cultivation of cannabis. I think with that, Mr. Chairman, this would be our submission to the committee. I thank you.
Thank you so much. Honorable Franzen.
Honorable Chair, and thank you, CEO, for that presentation. Naya meta boele bagane tota tota le one melemo ya e leng gore gongwe re dirisa thata mo Botswana, gongwe bao ba ileng gore gongwe are staying in villages. Ke one ba ileng gore gongwe ke a itse gore ba dirisa melemo e thata thata ya Setswana. So my question is, what progress has been made in developing traditional medicines regulatory framework, and what national support is required to advance it effectively? And the other question that I've got is, in crafting your traditional medicine regulation framework, what key stakeholders have you identified to make this planned framework to be more effective and guided? And you have cited challenges of counterfeit medicines and registered products and online pharmaceutical crime. How has the authority addressed this, and what strategies are in place to curb this? It's like, well, mo maranyaneng ta bo re nna re ntse re bona batho ba advertise melemo a bone ka ga ba e leng gore gongwe ebile malatsing a ba e bua hela batho ba bua ka ga e leng gore gongwe e bereka ka teng kgang ke gore re seemo sa teng re se ira ka tsela ntseng ya gore gongwe re se tamele se se ka sa iphitlhela se dule mo taolong. And you and CMS, how do you relate? CMS gore gongwe ke kgone gore ke tlhaloganye sentle be ke botsa gore o supile ga gore kana gongwe shortage ya medication sa le simolola gongwe some few years back yaanong ke batla go itse gore sentente hela go ka tswa gongwe go bakiwa keng gore go na le thaelo e kana ya melemo mo gongwe mo dipateleng gore gongwe a ke kganya gore gongwe go reka kampo go goroga kampo eng gore tse tsotlhe gongwe o ntlhalosetse gore gongwe go ka tswa go dirwa keng mme go gongwe in your presentation o supa gore le lebile le melemo ya gongwe ya diphologolo. How true is it gore bang melemo ya ga go na le bolwetse jo go teng o kgona go boala ga ka go nosa dikgomo chibuku shake yaanong how true is that? And ebile go supagala e le gore ga o dirisiwa tsone dio tsone tseo tsone bojalwa jone jo bolwetse jo bo kgona gore bo eme ke ra gore gongwe batswana ba ba itse gore gongwe ke dio tse e leng gore gongwe ba ka di dirisa go kheba tsone malwetse a go tshwana le ona wa e leng gore gongwe ke a tsamaelana le dio tsonetse le one melemo a kane ke supa gongwe ko tshimologong melemo ne e re enwang yone ya go dibete kana ga o tswa gone ya gongwe on your way to Francistown ga o tsena gone gale ba to ba go raba re no just a cup wa ha o tsotse ba go nela le botela 2 liters gore o tla nna ntse o nwa o iketile ha ke itse o CEO gore dikgang tsa go tshwana le tsone ka nako tse dingwe bota gore wa go nwa o iketile o kantora wa go idamage gongwe go idamage mo teng re ira go le kae go bona gore diemo tse melemo yone ra ba thusa go bona gore e tsamaya ka tsela ntseng jang since e le mandate wa rona gore gongwe re bone gore dio tsa go tshwana le tsone tse di tsamaya ka go tshwanetseng ke tsa ke re gone go dibete kwa ithela melemo e mentsi bo menepenepe ka Setswana media tarstala di dintsintsi mme bone ba to ba go neela hela ga ke itse gore ba tsaka yo gongwe ke re gore ga ba siama gore bo ba le hale ba hela gongwe ba tsaka e buitsana pe jone jo gore bo le teng ka gore ke melemo e leng gore re le bantsi batswana ra idirisa ke tata ka di follow up honorable chair. Thank you.
Honorable Furniture.
Mr. Chair. In your presentation, you did mention the issue of training of your staff that you normally do regularly. I just wanted to know that we have a lot of pharmacists who are not working at the moment. Why does BOMRA still hire expatriates to work for their company? And in terms of skills transfer, I want to know whether for over the years, has there been skills transfer in your company? The second one is, what were the main factors that contributed to the recovery from a 3.7 million Pula deficit in 2023-2024 financial year to a 1.3 million surplus in 2024-2025? Then the other question is, you you continue to depend heavily on government subvention. Given the increase in internal generated regulatory fees income, to what extent is BOMRA still dependent on government subvention for its operations? To what extent do you still depend on government subvention for your operations? And then the last one will be your liabilities for leave pay amount to 7.4 million pula, which is higher than gratuity payments. Please explain why staff members are not taking leave, but rather intending to sell their leave days at a cost of the organization. I shall submit, Mr. Chair.
Pelaki nela o ne ke nna ke botse gore go le ba ga le simolla BOMRA go ile go nna le madi a ne go twe a ke sure ke tshware around 30 cent between 40 to 60 million a ne go twe le go aga laboratory ha o simolla let I clarify ga ya le gore a e khone go agiwa laboratory ya teng ya bobedi go gore ngwaga tse pedi tse le engage le di consultant tse kae le gore madi a teng a amount to bokae go duela di consultants tse le di engage kona bo kwapa.
Thank you modula stilo ke tla le ka gore ke botsetsa me ka Setswana sentle ke sa khopa khopetse dipotso tsa me ka Sekgowa sa ntlhala gore ke batla gore ke tlhaloganye sentle gore ne le supa jalo mo reporting ya lona gone gore go nnile le tiego mabapi le ditumalano tsa lona le Ministry of Health. Potso ke gone gore a le kile la batla dikarabo le gore ke eng bodi ya lona go tsaya lebaka gore e hirwe jalo ka gore la itse gore gone go tlhoka go nna le bodi yalo go na le di governance gaps, so ke batla go itse gore le dirile go le kae. Potso engwe hela be bua nna gape gone gore kana go na le tlhaelo ya melemo mme bile le phatela lona ne le supa jalo gone gore kana ke maikelo a lone gore le tlhodumele gore melemo e tla mo lehatsheng le gone go e distributor jalo gongwe le patang le ba CMS gongwe ke botse jalo sentlentle gore melemo e kae tota bile go nnile lebaka le le kae melemo e ntse e seo le kra gore ke batla gore ke tlhaloganya gore le itemogetse gore melemo ga e go simologa leng ka lebaka la gore ka 2025 go nile le tlhaelo e tona ya melemo mo lehatsheng leno mme kana potso ya me ke gone gore a lona ga lena tebelopele ya go bona gore melemo e tsena mo lehatsheng leno e tla nna gore e tla tlhokega mo lebakeng le le kae kana go diragala ka tsela e ntseng jang gore ke ra gore do you have those indicators tse di ka supang gore go ha re tsamaela go le tlhokong la gore melemo e se ka nna teng mo lehatsheng leno. Ke batla go itse gape gore melemo e lona le leng ba BOMRA e le destroyileng ke ne go tlo bua 65,000 units ha ke tsore units o raeng gore ke batla go itse bokete jwa melemo e leng goreng le ne la laela jalo gone gore e go sengwa ke batla go itse bokete jwa melemo le madi gore e ne le madi kana le melemo e ka tshwara madi a kana kang ha ke tsora ke a utlwela sentle jaaka ke botsa jalo ke batla gape gore ke tlhaloganye gone gore ya ka lona le di-regulator kana le lona ba le laolang le dirile go le kae go netefatsa gore lehatshe leno gongwe le hela le nna le melemo e maleba ke raka gore a ke re go na le tsamaiso e mahatshe a o dara melemo ke batla go itse gore lona le dirisitse metswedi e gore le bone kana le netefatse gore lehatshe leno le nna le melemo ke raka lebaka la gore go na le makalana a tshwana le bo sareke jalo a leng gore gone le ka dirisa go na le makalana a tshwarang bo African Medicines Agency la dirise go le kae gone gore go se ka gana le tlhaelo e kalo ya melemo. Ke batla go itse gape gore lona metlhala e le e dirisang go seka gone goreng ditlhwatlhwa tsa melemo mo lehatsheng leno ga di emagoletsa segolo bogolo mo nakong e tshwana le yone e leng goreng go na le tlhaelo. Ke batla go itse gore a lona le na le gone gore le laole tlhwatlhwa jaaka le itse goreng melemo e teng mo marekisetsong jalo. Ke ra se ka lebaka la gore la itse gore ne a re nako a COVID ra itemogela go tsholediwa ga ditlhwatlhwa mo ne go gakgamatsa bogolo yang mo ba ba rekisang yone melemo. Mme ke dumela mo bogompieno tlhaelo e jaaka bangwe ba tle ba ye ko ditleliniking jalo ditlhwatlhwa ntse di ama go le netefatsa go le kae gore batswana ga re ba balwe ke ditlhwatlhwa tsone tse di goleditsweng ka tsela e ntseng jalo. Mme ebile ke batla gore le boe gape le tlhalose jalo gone gore lona le ba BOMRA le dira go le kae go kopa kana go ithuta mo balekaneng ba lona ba tshwana le bone ba BDC le ba BOKRA go netefatsa gore ditlhaloso tsa bone tsa madi di a publishiwa mo website-eng ya lona. Le dira go le kae gore batswana kana bone ba e leng gore ke bone ba na le seabe mo dikganyeng tse gone gore ba itse gore a le dira sentle kana ga le dire sentle. Mme ebile le re bolela gape le gone gore go na le kgang ya portal a ke tsore ka setswana nka e bitsa ke reng kana maranyane yone a Brimsia gore la amogetse go le kae gore le kgone go a dirisa mo lephateng la lona le gore nako e lona le ipetseng e leng goreng ke yone a gore melemo e be le teng mo lehatsheng le kana melemo hela gore ke batla go tlhaloganya gore le latedisa jang gore melemo e teng mo lehatsheng leno e tswela ena le boleng go direla gore e ska re go sina go expire be le gone le re melemo e senyegile ke ra ka lebaka la gore la itse gona le tlhaelo ya melemo mo dikokelo le mo dikokelwaneng go lebisisa kganya gore re ha go tsamela gore le itse gore melemo ya short e be ka isiwa ko motswaneng o e leng gore wa e tlhoka ke tla ema go le kalo modulasetilo. Thank you.
Go setse Lord Honorable Aaron.
Ke a leboga Chair. Ta ke tse sebaka se ke go lebogele your submissions ready jeng right? Ke rata go gakolola maina la ke le puo le go tshwara maina ba ke supe gore ke lebogela gore mo go tso sa tswa go di bua o ka re ga ba tswana tsholohelo ya gore wena le team ya gago kana le phata la gago ke lona shield kana thebe ya setšhaba mo go weneng gore ba bona kalahi e ba siametseng go wa maruri go le kae ka that statement le gore how bold enough is your organization when it comes to government or executive pressure. Re lebile sebaka se re le mo go sone gompieno sa gore na melemo mengwe ya thaela mme ebile nako nngwe e tsewa hela ka lepotapota mme le na le kelelelo ya go bona gore melemo e tsenang ka lepotapota ha mabaka gongwe kana diemo tse ile gore melemo ya be e shota gore batswana ba bona melemo e siameng e sireletsegileng gongwe ga nka batla gore ke tlhalose botoka gape ke gore gona le sengwe with regard to your medicine safety now versus mo le go bitsang waiver. What is this waiver thing? Kana ha waivera selo a ga go re gore yano o suspenda ditsamaiso tsene di tshwanetse tsa sala morago. Is wavering still acceptable when it comes to people's lives? Le gore le dira leng ha go rileng ya ka nne ke sa tswa go bua gore kana ke lona seo sa tswa go se bua ke lona thebe ya rona Gore ha ke re a setšhaba ke ra gore le ha e le nna tota I shouldn't give you pressure ya gore o direng. Mme hela ha that boikarabelo jo bo ka o ka botshoga wa se kwa bo diragatsa go ra gore go ile hela loka rona. Go boammaaruri go le kae with regard to this waiver arrangements ya gore go nnete melemo mengwe e kileng ya tisa le tshwenyego mo lehatsheng le ka mabaka a gore boleng jwa one bo ne go le kwa tlase a bo a kopa gore e busediwe morago ke nngwe ya melemo e tsileng ka tsamaiso yone ya waiver. Gongwe ke tlhaloganye ka licensing. With regard to your licensing, a ga le bone go le botoka gore le dire tsamaiso ka gore o setse wa acknowledge gore challenges tsa lona ke gore you are just centralized mo Gaborone, gore gongwe le nne le bao ba ile gore ba ka nna maoto a lona gore di branches mo di regioneng ka gore go lwa ka lona thata gore ga go tla mo registration and licensing gongwe ya di new facilities le gona go tsaya ngwaga tse pedi. What is your turnaround time? Mo motho a leng ko Gumare, a leng ko Soronga, mongwe a ithaopa gore o batla go bula pharmacy kana o batla go serva matshelo a batho ka tsela ipe a bo gona go re santse re letetse license. This is what I'm talking about. Do you understand exactly where this is coming from? Gore le la mogetse ke ratile gore wa mogetse me go amogela is not enough. Le tabankanye le gore go mo go nne hela ya gore whether o nteng ya Botswana o tshwane hela le motho inspector mo Gaborone ga ile gore wa pasa ga a ile gore o na le tse ile gore ga khone o santsa thokang le gore a di dire a itse gore o ka dira mo lebakeng la kae. Gongwe ke re ke supe gore gona le matshwenyo ga gore kana di state owned enterprise ya ka lebitswa le laolwa ke sengwe gate shareholders impact compact me go utwala gore your shareholder compact are still pending approval. Kana ena ke yone document e le gore o ka o e bitsa wa supa gore e ka go bontsha gore a go mo tseleng kana ga go mo tseleng a mme le dira se ileng sone ha ile gore e santse e penda approval. Gongwe ke re ke a leboga modulasetulo ke I will supplement after go review at that. Thank you.
Over to you.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to the members of the committee for those questions. The first set of questions from Honorable Frenzel say the framework on traditional medicines. I think I indicated that BOMRA has ensured that the second strategy of the organization, which just commenced in the past financial year, seeks to establish a framework for regulation of traditional medicines. It is certainly not an area without challenges because typically dealers in traditional products are not very open to sharing information, again, for good reason. I think we have learned that over the years, some of our intellectual property as a country has landed in the hands of people outside of the country. So, but what we are doing as BOMRA is to develop a traditional medicines strategy that is supported by the WHO. So we are drawing on the experience of the WHO in other regions to be able to develop a framework or a strategy for the regulation of traditional medicines. In developing the strategy, of course, it's important that we identify the key stakeholders that we must be developing the strategy with, or at least get buy-in from such stakeholders. The first stakeholder is obviously going to be the traditional practitioners themselves, or those who produce what we call traditional medicines. But we also have other stakeholders being government entities, departments within the Ministry of Agriculture, for example, who are seized with mandate of plant-related issues. We have the likes of SIPA, of course, as one that must deal with issues of intellectual property. We have the Ministry of Health being the custodian of the Botswana health system. We've got academia, who we expect will play a part in research and development to ensure that ultimately these products are able to get to a point where they can be commercially available and would be fit to be exported to other countries. It's important, I think, and BOMRA is very much alive to this, that this indigenous knowledge needs to be protected and must be supported to grow beyond just us as a people within the country benefiting from it, but so that it also generates revenue and income, particularly for those rural communities. So that strategy is still in early development. It has not been implemented, but it's part of our 5-year strategy, the second strategy of BOMRA. What I can say, I think, in relation to some of the products you alluded to, Bo Dibete products as an example, one of the things I think that we have been doing, and early on we recognized that we needed to do, was to have conversations, engage with the communities within this area. I think late last year or early this year, I'm not so sure of the exact time, but we engaged with the Dibete community where we worked with Bomolaudi, Bakaulo, to Lady Khosi, Holeka Hore, Reterhora, Morata, Simola, create a relationship. Ye Hoka Nale Hore, Humori Simol Lehubule Helana, Honotzadi Khansetsa. I hope it's acceptable that ke la thele Setswana mo teng re kgone gore re ne open with each other. I think being us BOMRA the regulator, as well as these communities, to understand the importance of ensuring that they move from getting a route back in the bush, and moving this to something that is within a bottle with no label, no indication of what it is, and expect that people would consume that. So we are trying to start to develop that relationship. And as I said, we are targeting the communities, particularly where, as a start, where this is actually visible, where we have these products dili hela mo mathong a batho go na le a number of them bangwe go bo gugai ka ha kgaolong tsa ga mangwato go na le gongwe gape go bo gantsi on the way ka tsai mo tseleng ya ha o tsamaela go bo gantsi. So this is an ongoing, I think, thing that we are doing, but it's not waiting for the full strategy to be developed. Those are some of the efforts that we are doing. But again, we've been part of a project that is driven by the SIPA, I think about 2 years ago, where SIPA, through their drive for protection of intellectual property, we're working on a project of supporting the traditional medicine space. So that work, again, I think the team from SIPA would be best placed to share the progress that is made in that regard. But at least there's key stakeholders who need to play a part and drive the traditional medicine space. There is that initial understanding that we have to all work together to be able to progress things. In terms of the online sales, that is indeed a concern that we have. It's an area of significant concern for us because internet is available to everybody everywhere. So some sales are happening outside of Botswana to be couriered or shipped to the country. And that presents a challenge for us as a regulator, because if you are dealing with people or entities that are selling and they're outside of the country, they are hidden from you. But you always try through opportunities such as the joint enforcement activities with the likes of the police and Interpol to be able to raise some of the issues around cyber marketing of medicines. We, in country, have had a number of successes where we have followed up on certain products that have been advertised, and we've been able to, in partnership with the police narcotics team, been able to charge certain individuals and pull down their adverts. Unfortunately, one of the things that we've had in the past as a regulator is that our law has been deficient in terms of enforcement powers. But I'm glad to report that I think with the passing of the recent Act in December of 2025, we have been able to provide for more stricter measures that will hopefully deter crimes within this space. It was quite easy, I think, for offenders to pay admission of guilt where we had found that there was infringements. But with this law that has just passed and we're working on regulations, we believe that we will further tighten the screws around some of these offenses. But we are certainly engaged in trying through our enforcement team, our enforcement function, to work with other entities to drive down the unsafe online sales of medicines. There was a question about CMS and BOMRA relationship. Our relationship with CMS is a regulator-procurer relationship. We must, by design, be very close to CMS because they are responsible for procuring medicines for Botswana, for the nation. Therefore, what is important for us to do is provide them, and I think I touched on this in my presentation, provide them with adequate choices to choose from. We have, therefore, and we work hard to ensure that we register all medicines that appear on the essential drug list. Right? And these are medicines that have been identified as products that are required for Botswana. So by ensuring that the BOMRA register or the approvals that we grant on medicines prioritize these products, we know that we are offering a selection, a choice, where issues of pricing can also be come into play, because if you've got multiple players, you are able to negotiate prices better. I think that's the first thing that we do. So we provide quality assured list of products that procurers, including CMS, has to work with. Beyond that, we partner with them in terms of ensuring that when we put out medicines into the market and there are issues with those medicines, be it that there's, you'll remember that obviously CMS being part of the the Ministry of Health, once they distribute medicines to health facilities, they have to be able to know what batches have been distributed to what facilities. And they should be able to be, gathering information or be able to gather information from these facilities where there are issues with these medicines. So we partner in those exercises or those activities of ensuring that there's alignment and there's reporting where medicines that are in distribution have an issue. So this is an ongoing relationship. We constantly review what is going on in terms of medicines that are imported through CMS and further distributed out of the CMS. We sample products that come into CMS. Sometimes we do pre-distribution sampling, but other times then we have to do post-market, so post-distribution sampling of those products. So that is how I think, from a regulatory perspective, we work and relate to CMS. In terms of what causes shortages, it would be a speculative answer if I'm to try and provide that, because in terms of the issues of procurement forecasting, being able to know what is needed where, BOMRA is not quite in that space. Because remember, ours is to ensure that the medicines that come into the country are of good quality, they are safe, and they are efficacious. The scope beyond that belongs to, of course, the procuring entity being CMS and the parent ministry. But we've got to support it, as I said, by ensuring that they have a choice. There is a good enough menu of what we can procure from the different suppliers, or there are various suppliers that we should be able to be procuring from as a country. Chibuku, whether Chibuku works Muhuala Hindi Khomo, Honorable, I'm not aware of that. I'm not aware of the therapeutic benefits of Chibuku. Perhaps it would fall more, or maybe the nutritional side of things. But I'm not aware that Chibuku it's a matter that we are, of course, quite happy to engage with our colleagues at the Department of Veterinary Services in the Ministry of Agriculture, who are, of course, closer to the farms and dealing directly with farmers and being the ones that are dealing with animal disease issues. Unintended benefits. So let's start to bring it into a complementary medicine space. But I'm not quite aware of any such benefit with Chibuku. I think I touched on the issue of the stakeholders with the traditional or in the traditional medicine space. I touched on debate the issues, how we interact, yes. And then Honorable Furniture, you asked about training of staff, why we have experts when there's a lot of pharmacists in the country unemployed. Maybe let me touch on the issue of experts. When we started the organization some 7 years ago, certainly we did not have much in terms of the full scope of skills that we needed for the regulatory system. A lot of the employees that came on board at the time were mainly from the drug regulatory unit within the Ministry of Health, and some came from the Ministry of Agriculture. But they were coming from a limited scope operation. So we, at the time, we were not doing most of the other functions that I spoke to. I think I must have spoken to about 8 or 9 processes. But you will find that back then, the only processes that were implemented was, I think it was registration and licensing of pharmacies. So we didn't have skills in areas such as pharmacovigilance, for example. We didn't have those processes, clinical trials, and all that. So when we set up the organization, we had to look for those skills outside. And we employed some officers from then who are experts. But the number of experts has been reducing over time because we've been deliberate about succession planning as well as skills transfer. Part of our approval processes for getting these imported skills with the Department of Labor is to demonstrate that. And we have consistently, I think for every expert that we've brought into the country, ensured that there's some plan that we put in place to support succession within that area. In terms of the percentages that we have of experts, I think we are sitting at less than 5%. I need to verify that number. Somebody verify the number for me. But it's a very small number, essentially. And like I said, it's been constantly going down. Where we have retained imported skills is where we still feel we've not grown enough as an agency, and even the resources or the pharmacists that we may have out in the market obviously are not at a level of supporting the regulatory processes that are indicated were initially or have not been in place before. But we are driving to ensuring that ultimately we are a regulator that has employed BOTSWANA. It is necessary for our sustainability as a country, because if they get greener pastures, experts, if they get greener pastures, they leave us in a space where we may then struggle to sustain the organization. So it is part of an important part of our survival that we localize, and we are quite intentional about doing that. We are intensively training our people. The good thing is that we have support from the likes of the WHO and other multilateral partners who are able to support a lot of the trainings that we do. So we are building that capacity. The only challenge, again, I will come back to what I mentioned earlier. We still need to be adequately funded as an organization to be able to sustain our training and development plans. But given the current financial challenges that we have as a country, of course, we are not doing very well in that regard, but we are drawing from the partnerships.
Yes. Through you, Chair, just a follow-up. I just want to know whether you can actually give us the timelines to be fully localized. One. Secondly, I think the numbers, you submit it in writing so that we can know how many are locals and how many are foreigners. I think that if you can be able to give me the timeline so that we can know that we will fully recover or to have employed BOTSWANA in this industry. Thank you.
Noted. I ask if you allow, Honourable Member and Chairman, that I submit both the issue of the planned timelines, because it goes, as I indicated, per resource that we have within the expert space. Some may, take a bit of time because we are starting from zero. Some are quite advanced, and therefore we will provide that detail with the timelines as well as the Thank you very much.
I was adding to say also the status of their contracts.
Status of contracts.
Yes.
No, we'll do that.
No, so that is submit then how? Monday.
Monday. I think by end of the week we should be able to submit, sir.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, skills transfer. And then in terms of the deficit, we had a deficit in financial year, I believe it's 2023, And this deficit, Honorable Member, came as a result of, I think, somewhere mid-year. We encountered a drawdown on our approved budget of about 5%. So we had to readjust our budget, our spending, our expenditure. But given that some things had already obviously gone over the line, I think we struggled to then be able to fully balance that budget because of that drawdown from the Ministry of Health. But this is why then the following year, because we implemented, as I indicated in my report earlier, some aggressive cost containment measures, including where we cut down significantly on external travel, trainings externally, and even local, where we could jump on doing things virtually. We jumped into doing a lot of activities virtually because external travel and training are, in fact, one of those, or some of they among the big ticket items in terms of expenditure. So we implemented those measures, including delaying replacement of our computers, technology, gadgets, and all that. So that is where we were able to then achieve this surplus that we have achieved, and we continue to implement this cost containment plan as an ongoing plan that has become pretty much now, I think, part of how we manage our finances. And we believe that if we continue that way, without, of course, crippling the main activities of the organization, we should be able to continue balancing our budget and expenditure.
a se tsolo mo go yone ga o go feditšhela go na le yone the expatriate ya na bua ka yone ele ne ke batla gore o tsene mo go ya manager wa lebo ya lona
manager wa lebo ya rona
ee gore a ke motswana kana ke expatriate le gore o ntse for how long mo maemong one ao.
Okay. Manager ke expert. Me o na le lebaka la o mo contracteng ya nta. I don't think, which is a 3-year contract. So our contracts for managers and directors going up are 3-year contracts. So she is on a contract ya nta. Yes. Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much. Yes, and then the government dependence, I think there was an issue that was raised in terms of dependence and extent of our dependence, rather, on government. Again, as mentioned in my submissions, currently we are sitting on a funding ratio where government funds 80% of our total expenses, and we are able to only generate about 20%. We have reviewed our fee structures to try and push our internally generated revenue to a much more decent amount or portion. In fact, in our strategic plan that we are currently implementing, we are pursuing that by the end of 5 years, and it's 4 years now because we've already gone through the first year, we want to be able to have possibly a 50-50 split in terms of our internally generated revenue. As I indicated, it's going to be difficult as a regulator to be able to be fully self-sustaining because we generate our revenue, our fees, from the industry that we regulate. So there could be perception where we drive these percentages up closer to 100%, that perhaps we are being bought to approve and support certain approvals of products. So that perception has got to be managed because indeed it would leave us as a very vulnerable regulator. And if they pull out in terms of the products that they have and on our market, could then affect our ability to continue delivering as an entity. So we are currently on an 80-20, but hoping to drive in 5 years to a 50-50 split. In terms of leave, issues of leave liability, our people are not going on leave. Indeed, our leave liability has been a challenge over the years. We have not increased our staff since BOMRA was established. However, we have grown in terms of the scope of work that we are currently delivering, and I think this has put pressure on our staff. But I think as management, we have been quite awake to that, and we have been trying to push more and more for our staff to take their leaves. We implement on an annual basis that there should be a clear leave plan for every employee within every department, so that this drives leave taking. But beyond that, we have set a limit in terms of what amount of leave can be carried over into subsequent years. And therefore, through that, we are also, asking directors, managers, supervisors to ensure that there are tailored plans beyond the mandatory 10 days that we should all take as employees within the organization. There should be tailored leave plans for each individual, depending on the extent of their leave. Again, it's not something that is, achieving the outcome that we want within a short time. But these are interventions that we believe, if we drive as the management of the organization, we should be able over time to be able to drive that down. Again, I indicated the challenge that we have is we are in a new strategic plan period. Ordinarily, we should be seeing an expansion of staff because we've brought in new areas of regulation that we've not been working on. But we will have to delay some of these so that we are able to then bring them back online once we are able to recruit. We've generated enough revenue as we drive towards the 50% that I talked about. That will relieve us. It will help us to get more resources and bring some of those projects and processes back online as per the strategic plan. So currently we are not paying any leave days to employees, except of course when they leave the organization. That's when we have to settle. I mean, I think those are some of the statutory, of course, obligations that we must maintain. But in terms of employees who are in work, we are not yet at a stage because we cannot afford to do that as yet. Chair, you asked about lab 60 million lab or funding that was availed for construction of a lab. I'm not aware, Chair, and I for fear of misrepresenting any information before the committee, I think it's something that I would like for us to look into and revert with an answer. What I'm aware of is that we embarked on a PPP feasibility study because Government Ministry of Health had taken the decision that we should pursue development of our lab through a PPP. We embarked on a feasibility study where ultimately, I think just in the past year, we had the last report, the feasibility report submitted to us. It's yet to be tabled before the steering committee, chaired by the PS, for a final decision on how that goes. But I would safely say that is somewhat overtaken by events now because, as I indicated, the World Bank has committed a loan to support the development of the BOMRA lab. But in terms of that 60 million, if ever it was ever provided at the beginning, we will have to revert with a concrete response on that, sir. How many consultants have we engaged? Perhaps just for clarity, are we talking broadly all the consultancies across the business or specifically to do with the lab projects as
broadly yela mo go lona mo BOMRA,
within the organization. Yeah, no, I don't have that information readily available. I think again, it's information I would have to submit separately, say, if you allow. Yeah, right. Honorable Kwapa asked about the board delays and whether they are affecting our performance as an organization. What have we done? We have followed up and written numerous letters to the ministry, just highlighting, of course, the risk that is posed by the delays in board appointments. But we've been given an indication that this is something that the ministry is working on to ultimately appoint members of the board. Beyond that, I think from getting that feedback from the ministry, I don't have any specific details as to why maybe it's not moving at the pace that we would desire that it moves with. But we've been given assurances that this is something that the ministry, through the minister, is working on, and we will get board appointments soon. How this is affecting, I think there was a question about whether this does not or whether we are doing the right thing. Who ensures then that we, I think as an entity, are doing the right things and delivering on our mandate, I suppose. Or maybe that one was a shareholder compact question, but I think it kind of relates in some way to this. Perhaps I'll leave it for the when I respond to Honorable Aaron's questions. The melemo e kae? I think I indicated, Honorable, earlier that our mandate is more on regulating and availing options to the procuring entity being CMS. And often where we get involved, get engaged, is when there is an impending procurement, where we are provided with information list of the medicines to be procured. We assess this list, and then we make a determination and advice on these products as they are procured. In terms of where the procurements are done, that is, of course, often the choice or responsibility of CMS to select among the registered entities, as I indicated, as to where they will be procuring these medicines. So we are not entirely privy to what is really causing the challenges in terms of the sourcing part. What we know, because it is public information, of course, is that there is a challenge with funds nationally. Government is struggling with money, and that, of course, will always affect every big area of government procurement. So maybe that could be one of the issues that that could be existing in that space. But I think the broad answer that deals with why medicines are not coming through is one that I would respectfully ask that it be handled by the ministry directly or the central medical stores who are procurers. So in terms of issues such as forecasting, again, that is, they do the forecasting because they are working with the health facilities through the ministry. They would know what stock levels exist out there and decide what to procure. So this is not something that I'm able to provide you with a concrete answer on. Ultimately, BOMRA is a facilitative agency. We try to ensure that, given the challenges that exist And I indicated that this issue of supply chain challenges started as far back as, just post-COVID, when the supply chains were interrupted. Supply chains were interrupted, as you may recall, by the fact that factories had to close. So manufacturers were not producing medicines back then for quite some time. And obviously they were sitting on a lot of orders from different countries, with different buying power. And therefore, when they started to operate these facilities or started manufacturing, they would have prioritized the countries with good purchasing power, who have the population to consume their products. And I think at the time we found that countries such as ours were struggling to get the products that we have on the register. And I think that is something that, as I indicated, has sort of continued on. And we kind of see that we still have a challenge of availability of medicines. But beyond the COVID time, as indicated, there could be other dynamics that I'm not aware of. But I know that post-COVID, it was mainly an issue of the disruption that happened because of shutdowns of manufacturing facilities. But as we facilitate, Aaron, you mentioned the issue of, I think you called it waivers. We don't waive, but what we do is we grant exemptions. So there is a pathway recognized within the Act that is called an exemption from registration pathway. So this is a pathway that the law provides for to deal with situations where you do not have registered products, but there is a need by the public of an unregistered medicine. Then you implement a process called an exemption process. It is not a waiver, which then means that even as you are implementing an exemption process, you must put safeguards in place that will ensure that you still deliver on the key elements of our regulations: safe, quality, and efficacious product. So even as we do that, we emphasize and want to ensure that the parameters that will give us information on the determination of safety, quality, and efficacy still exist even as we grant an exemption. They will not exist to the extent of a registered product, because a registered product has to go through a full assessment, so a full dossier assessment, which is something that could take a timeline of anywhere between 3 months to about 180 days, depending on whether this is a known product. This is a product that's registered somewhere else or not. The shorter timeline of about 3 months is where we are recognizing somebody who has registered this product and are able to do a quick assessment and deliver that in 90 days. But otherwise, it's the longer. So in terms of exemption, you don't have time to do the 90 days, the 180 days. So you subject it to this process, but demanding that the submission of what we call quality documents relating to each product. But what we have done as BOMRA, again, because of the fact that we know where we are as a country, we are alive to the challenges that the country is facing. We have adapted, and I've indicated this earlier, that we've adapted certain processes and in fact layered various processes that are not ordinarily part of your bouquet of processes that form a regulatory system, as recognized by the WHO. I indicated that our regulation is supported and driven by the WHO processes, well defined. But what we are now implementing as additional in terms of the exemption or exempted product is that we are insisting on something called pre-shipment testing. So before the products, because a lot of our products come from India, I'm sure we all know that India is the biggest supplier of medicines currently in the world. Most of the manufacturers are out of India. They are called the World Pharmacy. But we ensure that everything that comes from India is subjected to pre-shipment inspection. So it is tested, waits for the results back in India, and then it is shipped to Botswana. I will admit that this exemption process has been used quite extensively during this period. I indicated post-COVID, and now where we are experiencing significant shortages for reasons that I'm not aware of medicines. But this is what I think as BOMRA, we ensure that even as we exempt products, we do it in a safe manner, and we expect these medicines to still deliver the desired outcomes with the patients who consume them. So I think in answering your question, Aronia, how bold are you in dealing with government? I would say we are bold because when we are presented with information as to what is being targeted for import, we always give our opinion. And the good thing about regulation, or at least in this instance, the sort of regulation that we do is it's got specific things that you can cite if you are not seeing those issues, if you are not seeing information that enables you to determine the parameters that you would have to determine to make a regulatory approval. You simply inform and advise the government that the information provided relating to this product is not adequate for us to make a determination on safety, quality, and efficacy, and therefore we cannot issue an approval for such products. So that is the extent to which I would answer a question on how bold we are. I think we try to, as indicated, firstly, to require, as part of the exemption process, that the necessary quality documentation is provided, but where it cannot be provided, we indicate very clearly on what the deficiencies are. Beyond that, we find other ways, as I indicated, of saying, well, look, this is our situation, this is our reality, what else can we do to help the situation and facilitate? I cited the pre-shipment testing. The other process that we are now implementing, again, which is not part of the ordinary process that we would be implementing as part of regulation, is to follow up on these products that are exempted when they go to market, to be able to then see how they are performing, and if there's any issue that we are able to quickly respond and issue, or withdraw them from the market, as the case may be. Yes. Was there a follow-up? I saw that perhaps there's yes.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I needed a follow-up here with regard to waiver and exemption. I would allow me to quote Merriam-Webster definition of exemption and versus waiver. An exemption is a permanent release from a general rule or obligation of a specific category or a group. A waiver is an intentional voluntary relinquishment of a known right, claim, or requirement by an authority, which is usually granted on a temporary case-by-case. Actually, what you are saying is even much more heavier than what I even expected, because a waiver is lighter than exemption. You do not waive, you exempt. Do you understand now the weight you are putting on that argument, that now you are completely exempting? People's life should be subjected to exemptions. when it comes to medicine? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Aaron. Again, perhaps. My apologies, Chair. Perhaps the definition, as per the dictionary, could have a different meaning, as you indicate. But with all due respect, I submit that, when it comes to issues of the law, often we define things in a way that is understandable to that particular sector or industry. So in our case, an exemption, as I indicated, is a recognized pathway in medicine regulation. It's not peculiar to Botswana. And this is why we have provided for that in the law. But we are not using it in perhaps the dictionary definition, because I indicated that even as you say you are going to follow such a pathway, you define the minimum criteria of what should be met in being able to use or exploit that pathway. The fact is that it is not a desirable pathway that as a regulator we want to have run for a long period of time, or be used to procure big volumes of product. It is not meant to do that. But again, I indicated earlier that where you are faced with challenges such as the one that we found ourselves facing post-COVID and now, you find that for Botswana it then becomes a pathway that is probably used more than you, as a regulator, we would like for it to be used. But it doesn't mean that in implementing it, we are compromising anything on our side. And this is why I was saying earlier again that where we find that even that which we require is not adequate, we communicate this very clearly with CMS, with the Ministry of Health, to ensure that we are not receiving things that the regulator remains uncomfortable about. And in going an extra mile, that, as I indicated, we have put in place other measures that are not ordinarily part of what we implement on a day-to-day as part of our regulations. But for this period, we've said, no, we need to go closer to facilitating and not sitting as an independent entity entirely of the processes. So we try to understand right from the beginning what we are dealing with, working with the ministry along the processes to be able to get to a point where we are comfortable that the products that are being procured at least have been subjected to the regulatory requirements that we deem necessary. Again, I want to stress, we are not, as a regulator, comfortable with the prolonged use of such a process. It's concerning because naturally it's a high-risk process. It's not like your fully registered products. But, we've got to deal with it in that manner, understanding that there should be an end point. There should be a point where now we are moving from emergency situation to full procurement through only registered medicines, because they are subjected to much greater rigor in terms of the processes around them that drive them to the point of registration. Ga ke itse gore ke tshwanetse be ke thakathakantse dipotso yaanong gongwe ke bisitse dingwe, but I'll try to recover them.
With regard to an exemption, anyway, you would like a period in the last 3 years or on the last 2 years,
process
any process exemption mo melemo e tsene mo Botswana gongwe a be ke rela mo gore o no supa gore le dira le a go ba maru gore le dirisa hela mo di products tse ile gore they are non registered.
Yes.
O rela gore di serious drugs or medicine le ha mme gongwe rona re bua hela ka Setswana ga le exempt gongwe ke go he sekae a molemo wa TB go tshwana le molemo wa TB o ile gore ono wa tsena ga ke tsora ke this year or last year one go acknowledge gore it is substandard o hitile ja a le gore a ono wa tsena ka tsela yone ya exemption. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair, the exemption pathway has been implemented quite extensively for a number of years now. As I indicated, post-COVID was the first time that we saw a big number of products procured through exemptions, immediately post-COVID. We looked like we were recovering from it for some time post that. But I think since the economic challenges that we are facing now, we have seen that the process has resurfaced quite significantly. I can't share the exact numbers because we issue the exemption approval on application, from time to time. But what I would say is that it is certainly one that has, been used quite significantly over the last 2 years, BK, right? After, if you take away the post-COVID time. So it is a pathway that we are actively engaging to facilitate imports of medicines. The TB product issue, yes, TB products. So in terms of exemption, any products can be subjected to exemption with a qualification from the director here. If yes. So the exemption of TB medicines. My apologies, I lost my thought for a minute. The TB medicines were subjected to exemption, as any product truly that is in demand and is not available in the Botswana market can be procured through exemption. So these products were procured through exemption at the time. The submissions that were made to BOMRA of the products met the criteria that BOMRA requires for you to meet to qualify for an importation through exemption. What turns out to have happened is that there appear to have been some, alteration or fraudulent activity on the side of the shipper as well as the importer. Having gone through BOMRA processes and being issued with a legitimate permit by BOMRA, that was based on submissions made which were looked to BOMRA that they met the criteria. But beyond now the physical shipping, that is where it turns out that what was brought in, there was some issues with that. So when the medicine came, at the time we had not implemented a process of pre-shipment that I just spoke to earlier. But what we had still was that we had the process of post-market surveillance, where we would follow products into the market. And that is how we were able to gather information from healthcare practitioners that they are not getting the desired results from the use of this product, which turned out to have been a substandard of low quality in terms of the amount of what we call an active ingredient. So it wasn't at a level but had we not been implementing that post-market program, we may not have been able to pick up these products. I can assure the committee that I think through that effort, I think there was about just over 1,000 units of those products distributed. But upon the results that we delivered, we were able to recall, I think, about just over 900 of that. So it wasn't extensively used, fortunately. We were able to recall quite a significant number of the consignment or amount of the consignment before it became a big problem. So, but beyond that, we have implemented this process that I just spoke to of pre-shipment. Even as we give you this exemption approval, we expect you to submit to a pre-shipment inspection of the facility that you are taking these medicines from. And then beyond that, we expect testing to be done in India. We have identified a third-party laboratory that we audit. It's accredited to 17025, so they are subjected to our own mechanisms of oversight, who do this work on our behalf. And they give us the results of what they find. If we find that the products have failed, then we inform CMS for this particular products have failed and therefore cannot come into the country. So through that, we are able to stop now products that we may have given some conditional approval from ultimately coming into the country. So that is the current, I think, one of the ACE processes that we believe is helping us through this difficult period.
Through which this is very important. It's of national interest. It's a do or die. Yes. I would like so susupang ke gore mo the exemption up until we have learned this gore re gona go motho o gona go ta ka di what do you call list documents tse ile gore re dumela gore ke tsone tse di tsamaelana le tsone mme a ba go tisa sesele a go ra gore before that ne re sa dire jalo ne go sena lebo epe ne re dumela hela mo se motho a se tisang a be re all right bring in ne re sa test go telele because what if I understand now what you are saying is that now these are the what do you call it the measures that you have put in place now go bona gore seemo se ga se ipoeletsa kere pele gore exemption in ele just to believe on what I bring on paper. That was seriously dangerous. Thank you.
Nka tsena gore gongwa a di arabe tsotlhe nya o tata re chacha ne ke re ka re the Auditor General's report e supile ha go nile le melemo kampo dipilisi tse di destroyileng tse di amounting to 100 million ka report you re and how do you come into the picture when this enter the border really go tsena ga tsoga yone mo bordereng kana gore go ngone le itse ka sengwe batho itse gore ne le sa itse gore dipilisi go tshwana tsone tse go nna le bothata mo nako e seng khagana. And how do you ensure they are destroyed to prevent harm to the public? So in medication, lastly, even nakanya ya dipilisi so they tell about one ba posta mo maranyaneng bare ibile go bo bua ka dipilisi ba sa bua ka dithare ano bare dithare tse dipilisi tsa ibile ba tlhalosa ba tsa tshenyo o imana tsone tsa abortion ke batla go itse gore tsone dipilisi tsone tseo le itse go le kae ka tsona mme di tshwanetse gore gongwe di ka dirisiwa gongwe o re highlight hela gore le itse sengwe ka tsone le gone gore re kganne seemo seo ke ha re dirile ka tseleng tse ja. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Ke se ka tsana ka cannabis.
2 minutes, yes. Thank you, Chair. In landing on the issue of exemptions, I think what's important, as indicated earlier, Kahore, exemption as a process is not a typically highly exploited process. So, because it's an exceptional or under circumstances where there are challenges within a country of sourcing products, that is when you would typically then use the exemption process. So there was never a real need or even doubt on our part as to the process of approving, because it's low volume that we were looking at before we found ourselves in a crisis situation. But earlier I indicated that a key process as well that supports this is the post-market surveillance, where we follow and then we sample. So that one has always been there. It has always been part of our process to make sure that there is sampling of medicines in the market at any given time. And that is how we've maintained that vigilance on what is within the supply chain. The only thing that was not there was this pre-shipment inspection that we implemented as an extra layer. Remember what I indicated, Honorable Chair, is that as a regulator that understands where we are as a country, we needed to come up with interventions that are unorthodox. They are not a part of your general processes, but they are meant to respond to the situation that we are facing. And this is how we brought this process in, because we're realizing that we are now in the bulk procurement space, where out of and because of the challenges we are facing, it is necessary that we find ways of still availing or facilitating that Botswana have access to medicines. In terms of the auditor's report on destruction of medicines, I'm not sure of this one, Honourable, but I think in terms of our process, we have an import and export control process, as I indicated. And in the import and export control process, we evaluate and look at the submissions in terms of the products being applied for to make sure that these products are not short-dated. So they are not products that are going to expire tomorrow or in 6 months. I think that there's a timeline there. I think it might be 6 months. I stand to be corrected there. But that is part of the criteria for authorizing importation. How then the medicines upon arriving are handled in distribution. Of course, we have, I think, a limitation in terms of being able to control that until we get to the facilities. And we find these products in facilities, then we issue an instruction that these medicines, because they have expired, need to be quarantined until they are disposed. So some of the disposals that I was talking to earlier relate to such products, where I was saying that we've been able to destroy some medicines that are in the market. So we play a part along the whole value chain, from import control to facilities as we license them, the post-market surveillance that we carry out. So we're able to pick up what is within the facilities and issue necessary regulatory action, often an instruction for them to be disposed. Witnessed disposal of medicines is something that we do. So if when you dispose, there are instances where we do witnessed disposal, but we also require that you submit a disposal certificate of the products that you are distracting from time to time, because naturally there will always be expiries of medicines for whatever reason. There will be medicines that while in supply chain, or rather in the value chain, may encounter some incursion, for example, of temperature. If you are dealing with products that should be at low temperatures, there could be a challenge that may affect them. And we have to recall them and have them distracted. So that is part of, I think, the routine surveillance and work that we do as we enforce medicine regulation across the whole supply chain. There was a question that I didn't answer that spoke to the footprint. BOMRA's strategy now is that we want to expand. We are looking at expanding our footprint. We fortunately have, again, support from funders to be able to set up initially 2 regional offices within the next 3 to 4 years. So we are working on that to expand our footprint, to work with our partners much closer to them, because currently we are reliant heavily on other law enforcement partners to do some of the work of enforcement, of removing products from the market, and then working again with them to ensure that they are distracted. But we are now at a stage where we are spreading or expanding our footprint, and we should be able over time to have effective coverage within the country. Erra dipilisi tsa tshenyo boimana ke buile kgantele ka gore online selling or Facebook selling of medicines is another challenge that we have. So indeed, when we encounter somebody selling, we work with the police to find a way of removing and charging this individual. We've confiscated, in partnership with the police, we have had confiscations of medicines that were advertised, where our enforcement team would, again, work with the police as indicated, and be able to trace. Now, the fact that we did not have very strict enforcement powers within the act that we've been using meant we needed to rely, or we were relying, on other provisions within other laws. These are things where we confiscate, we issue what do you call it, admission of guilt. So there's this admission of guilt, which then comes with a paltry sum of money, a small amount of penalty. But now with this new law, we are going to be going hard at this, because effectively what that meant is that we were removing the product, and as soon as you take it away, they pay. The business is booming. Tomorrow they are back, they are selling again, through a different page. So now I think with this new provisions, we should be able to tighten a little bit around the enforcement actions and the ability to deter such practices.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ne ke le ka re go ke tla latrisa ka tsengwe tse pedi tsa gore ke botsegela ka lebo ya lona gore tota me gona e facilitate go le kae gore Botswana kgone go itirela melemo, but ha gona bothata ke tla le neela le moago le tla ya raba mo nakong e tlang le gone gore potso bo bedine ya gona gore re lebetse le tlhoko la melemo le ka halona le latrisang ka teng gore tsotlhe go complaiwa le tsone. Ne ke batla go itse le balance tse pedi tse jang gore melemo ene teng mo market, mme le gale jaaka ke re ke tla le ha ile moago ke tsa gore le tla ya raba mo nakong e tlang ha re kopana. Ke rata ke le boge mo nakong ya gompieno gore be le nile sebaka sa go tla hano go tla go arabela tsotlhe tsene re le di botsa tota bile ke dumela gore le di araba ka boammaruri gore gongwe mme ke tlhalosana ke tlhagise jana gone gore go le gantsi sele se re bolelelang ra se retsa ra botsa dipotso mo go sone, but e nna gone gore ha re sa kgotsofaleng teng re na le gone gore re lebitse gape re tle gore tlhalosetsa sentlentle gore la reng ka gore jaaka modula setulo na le ikanisa ha re dumela gore tse le di buang la be le di bua ka boammaruri, mme jaaka ke tlhalosa ha gona leng maretshwa go sa arabe sentle teng tsamaya le itse jalo gone gore re na le gore re lebitse le tle go araba lenya gore ke ene le ra araba ka ne le ra araba ka teng, mme hela ke dumela gore mo bogompieno le ra arabile dipotso tsa rona le di arabile, mme kopo engwe nna gone gore tse re di botsang ka Setswana le di arabe ka Setswana e ska la kopanya le Sekgowa, re di botsa ka Setswana ka bomo ka lebaka la gore re batla re boletsa bone Batswana gore ba utlwe. So ke kopa gore le mo go yone e re mona go e tla le ipakanye le tlhoko go botsa dipotso ga rona gore ha re botsa ka Setswana re batla gore la arabe ka Setswana. Go bo le di ba re ka tsela e ntseng jalo, mme ke re ga gona sepe se re ka lebogang ka sone hela ke gore tsamaya le Modimo re tla kopana mo nakong e tlang. Ke a leboga.